meeting of the Planning Committee. Do we have a video?
Due to COVID-19, this meeting will be conducted as a Zoom meeting pursuant to the provisions of Assembly Bill 361, which suspends certain requirements of the Brown Act. This meeting is being live streamed on the CCTA website. The chair will call upon members, staff, and other speakers by name. Please speak clearly and state your name before giving comments or remarks. Persons participating via Zoom with their cameras enabled are reminded that their activities are visible to viewers. Members participating by Zoom wishing to speak should physically raise their hand and unmute their mic when called upon. Members should mute their mics when done speaking. Citizens participating by Zoom wishing to speak should use the Raise Hand feature or dial *9 if participating via phone, and the chair or staff will call upon them at the appropriate time. Citizens will have 3 minutes to speak. After 3 minutes, staff will lower their hand and mute their mic. Participants via phone will be called upon by the last 4 digits of their phone number. It is requested that public speakers state their names and organization, but providing such information is voluntary. Written public comments received in accordance with the teleconferencing special notice for public comment guidelines are printed on the meeting agenda. If authors of the written correspondence would like to speak, they should raise their hand and the chair will call upon them at the appropriate time. All written correspondence received after that and during the meeting will be entered into the record. A roll call vote will be taken for all action items. Thank you for participating in a meeting of the Contra Costa Transportation Authority.
And Chair Mitchoff has arrived.
So sorry about that. I was doing something else and, whatever, here we are. Okay, thank you and welcome everybody to our Planning Committee meeting. Let us see, we have gone through everything. Public comment, did we take roll call, Jackie?
We have not taken roll call.
Let us take roll call, please.
Okay, Commissioner Hudson?
Here.
Commissioner Kelly?
Here.
Commissioner White? Absent, okay. Vice Chair Haskew?
Here.
And Chair Mitchoff?
Here, thank you.
Okay.
This is the opportunity for public comment for anyone in our audience who wishes to address us on any items not on tonight's agenda. Jackie, do we have anyone showing who wishes to speak to us under public comment?
I do not have any written public comment that I received.
Great, thank you. Moving on to our consent calendar. Do we have any public comments for our consent calendar?
There's no public written comment that I've received.
Wonderful. Anyone, I would like a motion, please.
So moved.
So moved
Second.
by Haskew, seconded by Kelly. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Okay, Commissioner Hudson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner White? Absent. Vice Chair Haskew?
Yes.
Chair Mitchoff?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes unanimously with Commissioner White absent.
Thank you. Moving on to our regular agenda items. Our first item is an on-call planning services, an authorization to execute an amendment, and John Huang. John, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. And if I'm not, I want you to correct me.
You're right on.
Oh, good. I remembered what my teacher told me about vowels. Anyway, John, would you take it away, please?
Good evening, Chair Mitchoff and board members. Happy New Year to you all. I'm John Huang, Director of Planning. Staff is requesting your recommendation to the Authority Board to approve Amendment Number 2 with our on-call planning consultant PlaceWorks. The amendment will add $1.3 million for a new total contract amount of $2.3 million and will also extend the termination date to December 31, 2022. Amendment 2 will cover for work related to the preparation of the action plans and the update of the countywide transmission plan. Majority tasks, the major tasks are noted in the staff report. Staff is including this item as part of the regular agenda since it's exceeding $1 million. That concludes my presentation. I can answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, John. Any of my colleagues have any questions for John on this request? Seeing none, do we have any public comment on this, Jackie?
No written public comment.
All righty, may I have a motion, please? I think Chris Kelly wants to. I see her lighting up, and Ms. Haskew lit up after her.
No,
So we
second, second.
Well,
I'll move the item and whoever's first can second it.
Dave can have this.
all right, moved by Kelly, seconded by Hudson. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hudson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes,
Commissioner White, Vice Chair Haskew,
Yes,
Chair Mitchoff.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes unanimously with Commissioner White absent.
Thank you. Moving on to item B, which is the authorization to execute amendment number 2 to an agreement with Fair and Peers. And this is going to be presented to us by Colin Clark. Hi, Colin. Good evening.
Hi, Chair Mitchoff. Good evening, everyone. So this item is the Fair and Peers contract that originated in 2016. It's agreement number 50, and this would be the second amendment to that contract to provide additional services to provide technical updates and implement the countywide bicycle and pedestrian plan priority action items. So the plan was adopted in 2018, and the upcoming priority action items that have been selected by the board include the completion of the countywide pedestrian needs assessment, as well as the countywide micromobility policy development in terms of streamlining regulations across the county. This would be a new total agreement value of $740,000. So it's just an increase of $250,000, and the time extension would go from June of 2022 to June of 2024. And then allow the executive director to make any non-substantive changes to the contract language. But a number of things will be coming in the coming months in terms of helping to implement countywide Vision Zero. So with that, I'll take any questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Colin. Anyone have any questions for Colin? Seeing none, Jackie, that exciting question I always ask you, is there anyone wishing to address this under public comment?
I did not receive any public comment on this.
And no hands raised. All right. So I think that we need a motion on this, and I'm going to let Ms. Haskew make the motion since she's been a seconder, and Chris and Dave can duke it out.
thank you. I make the motion.
I'll
Then I-
second it.
There we go. Moved by Haskew, seconded by Kelly. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hudson,
Wait, what?
I'm going to give you the next one.
No, what is the motion? You got to at least say staff recommendation or something.
You already gave it.
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes,
Commissioner White, Vice Chair Haskew,
Yes,
Chair Mitchoff.
Yes. Thank you.
Motion passes unanimously with Commissioner White absent.
Thank you. Moving on to item C, which is an authorization to release a request for proposal to implement a shared micromobility program in San Ramon to support the mobility on demand / mobility as a service project. Mr. Engel is going to lead us off on this. Hi, Peter. There you
Hi.
are.
Thank you, commissioners. So this item is exciting. Something we've been looking for in Contra Costa County for a long time is some shared micromobility. So that would be bike share and scooter share. The staff has committed to, not committed to, but proposed in our mobility on demand application to have a bike share or scooter share service integrated with our application or with our app. And this would lead to that. The city of San Ramon has been looking for bike share for a while now and has been very aggressive. I shouldn't say aggressive, very positive in moving forward with this. And so staff has met and set up a working group with jurisdictions along the Interstate 680 corridor from Walnut Creek to San Ramon to discuss micromobility and put together a series of kind of the operating parameters, what would work for each jurisdiction, what wouldn't. And that led to a request for information, which we got some feedback for, and now we're prepared to go out for a request for proposals. The initial site would be the city of San Ramon. We have gone through all the committee processes in the city of San Ramon. They are all very positive about moving this forward. The concept here is that CCTA would carry the master agreement with the vendor, but then the vendor would be required to enter into site agreements with each of the jurisdictions as those jurisdictions come online. We do anticipate in working with staff from Walnut Creek and Danville that they will come online and the county as well. So looking for your approval to release this request for proposals. Interesting thing about this particular subject, I'll put a caveat in here with the new COVID issues that are coming up, which has really been very difficult on shared mobility services, that we could go from no cost, no subsidy from our perspective to a small subsidy depending on, and it was in the staff report, kind of the mix between bicycles and scooters. So looking at this point for your approval to release the RFP and see what we get in return.
Thank you. And I see Mayor Hudson wishing to address this issue.
You can say aggressive, Peter. It's okay.
I think forward thinking.
I mean,
forward thinking is a great term. Thank you.
I don't want to say we've been working at this for a while, but Mary Pifo was on the Air District and Mobile Source when we went after this. And Mike Shemansky and I were on the East Bay Regional Park District when we were fighting to get this. So it goes a long way. I would just hope past this initial thing, we actually send something to Dublin also, because there's been a push to get it to BART. Not that we would do it, but they should at least know what we're doing because they'll expand, I'm sure. But the bigger one was long before we were doing this, Pleasant Hill to Walnut Creek was a big part of what we were going to do initially. So I would think they'd be very receptive to it also all the way. And you got to include the county in that because of the BART station there. But this is not something that just came along recently. We've been after it. When we started this thing with 400 bikes in San Francisco to Santa Clara, by the time we lost it to MTC, we had exceeded 7,000 bikes. So this is really something that's coming big. I mean, I'm happy to see it. And I think the expansion on Just Be Prepared might be more than what we've been talking about with some of these shuttles and stuff, because the big problem's always been docking. And if you've got it worked out, Katie, bar the door, we're going to really expand on this. Outside of getting off my soapbox, I'll move the staff recommendation.
Thank you. Do I have any other colleagues who have any questions? Yes, Chris.
I would just like to know from Dave, does the city of San Ramon have a preference as to whether you want more bikes or more scooters? It seems from Peter's report that if it's more bikes, it would be a small subsidy.
I'd say bikes. It has been bikes. We've had a bike sharing program in San Ramon for over a decade.
Okay.
And
I know
electric bike. Huh?
And some places do get inundated with scooters kind of littering the sidewalk area. So
yeah.
I know there's some concerns about that.
Sorry.
Go ahead. The advances that you're seeing on scooters is going to make a big, that one we saw from Nate Chauceron or whatever, when Amy isn't on this, but Amy and I forget who else was in that meeting at Orinda. To me, I thought, wow, this is really going to take off, but I'm seeing it. And the biggest problem was East Bay Regional Park District wasn't going to allow motorized vehicles on the Iron Horse Trail. With that changing and that overpass we're talking about coming in, you will see it triple. I've already seen it triple since we came out with Measure J. We had a 243% increase in San Ramon alone. It's coming, folks.
So I would just add that e-scooters from the perspective of the vendors have been more profitable, but I think, you know, the e-bikes are a wave that can't be stopped at this point. And it's still fairly new in the bike share market, only been around for a few years. And of course, COVID has, you know, impacted a lot of that. So I think, I'm betting Tim's paycheck that there will be a
Whoa.
trend. There will be a trend to, there will be a stronger support for e-bikes in the future, and it will become as profitable or productive to a certain extent as scooters, especially in certain markets.
If I could throw in one last thing, Peter, you may even see hydrogen bikes. I saw that in when we were at the Electric Vehicle Symposium, and they have a much larger range, and we have hydrogen refueling. But it's clearly coming. I'd bet Tim's paycheck too, but
Don't you love how they're giving away your money, Tim?
just to put it in perspective, we now have an electric bike vendor in City Center. That's a pretty strong rental to make to be doing bikes. And if you've been there, this is not what you expect to see in there, but they're doing well. And as they put in 5,000 homes around it, they're going to do weller.
Weller, that's a new word, I guess. Okay. Jackie, with Dave's motion, I'm going to let Luella or ask Luella to second, since Walnut Creek may be part of this, but do we have any public comment?
I've received no written public comment on this item.
And Mr. Hale, would you like to talk about your paycheck? No. All right. May we have roll call, please?
Yes, Commissioner Hudson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner White, Vice Chair Haskew,
Yes,
Chair Mitchoff.
Yes, thank you.
Motion passes unanimously with Commissioner White absent.
We are moving on to item D, which is to receive the authority from City of Richmond regarding complete street safety assessment. This is an informational item. I see a Mr. Patrick Phelan is on our Zoom with us, but I'll turn to Colin Clark first for the staff presentation. Welcome, Mr. Phelan.
Great. Thank you, Chair Mitchoff. So tonight we have with us Patrick from the City of Richmond, who is integral in planning and organizing and coordinating and putting together the opportunity to put this complete street safety assessment together in the City of Richmond at multiple different intersections along multiple corridors that had been identified both as part of Vision Zero and as the countywide bike and ped plan for the need for a complete street study. And we have UC Berkeley SafeTrack with us, the safety training and education, research and education center, who we have to thank very much for providing the funding through the State Office of Traffic Safety. In terms of the CCTA, we submitted an application to compete for potential funds to have a complete street safety assessment conducted, and we received one a winner for City of Richmond in multiple locations, and very much appreciate UC Berkeley SafeTrack for working on this project. Last spring was about when I applied for this opportunity, and in summer is when we had the full walk audit, which was several hours of hard work, and then after that, we had a number of meetings and met with John Ciccarelli, who is not only a certified instructor under the League of American Bicyclists, but he served on the national committee in terms of advising the MUT-CD, the Manual Uniform on Traffic Control Devices, and has been doing this program for Berkeley for something like 20 years. And John will hopefully forgive me for butchering his background, and he can introduce himself further, but we very much appreciate all the work that has gone into this assessment and ultimately potentially turning into project recommendations.
Hi, Mr. Ciccarelli. I'm informal, so I'm going to call you John. Is there anything you'd like to add to this report?
Not really. It's a pretty detailed report with 6 to 8 focus areas around the city. I have slides if anyone's interested, but I'm just as happy not to present them. SafeTrack has been doing this. SafeTrack and the Institute of Transportation Studies at Berkeley have been doing this for about 20 years, and I've been privileged to work with them. What this is 1 day of free field assistance to cities and counties funded by the Office of Traffic Safety using funds that comes down from the federal government. It is not intended to be an engineering plan for a corridor or an intersection, but is additional input that the city might find useful based on our experience around California, looking at cities and counties and tribes, and also our knowledge of the state of practice from Federal Highway Administration and other resources. You might want to know that we've done this for several other Contra Costa County cities over the last several years. Walnut Creek, I believe. Lafayette, that's right. And Hercules, although that was a shorter engagement called an LTAP. So
San Ramon also, sorry. San Ramon.
Also, Afsana Yavari in the tropical background is my program coordinator at Berkeley, and arranges things. Also, she writes the benchmarking section of the report. I think it might be useful if the committee's not familiar with the reports, just to show 2 slides so you can see what these are and spread the word among other cities in the county. So with your permission, I'll share my screen.
Please do so.
Okay, so you should see a slide that says about SafeTrack.
Yes.
Good. So Berkeley Public Health is the home base for SafeTrack. It's safety research, public engagement tools, including a wonderful map-based crowdsourcing tool for people to tell you or anyone where the hotspots are, where the issues and opportunities are. SafeTrack maintains a map-based overlay for SWITRS, which is the statewide traffic collision database. So you can look up and slice and dice data on injury crashes. They are the university that delivers the professional development classes for the state of California and local technical assistance, including the CSSA program. CSSA I described before. Myself, I've been at this since 1999. Prior to that, I changed careers out of software design in 1995. I was Stanford's first bicycle coordinator. And since then, I've been doing consulting, and SafeTrack's been a part of that consulting. I also run a private coaching service called Bicycle Solutions, and we teach people of all ages and abilities. This next slide shows the basics of a CSSA engagement. It's an initial discussion. I'm sorry that image is kind of mangled by the compression. And we have initial meetings usually on Zoom or teleconference. And then the field audit is 1 day, preceded by a lot of homework on Google and follow-up back and forth with the city. This to the right is the table of contents for the Berkeley report for the city of Richmond last year. And as you can see, we saw 7 focus areas. And the last slide I'll show is the typical issues and opportunities in the report. The report is this illustrated report. So this was what we found at McDonald and 15th by the BART parking garage, identified some issues, and then made some suggestions for that intersection. So I know that we don't have time to permit going into all of these, but the report, I think it's chapter 4, is the field focus areas part of the report. And you're welcome to review that. And we'd be free to answer any questions by email or any other means.
And if I can just add, John, thank you. In terms of the amount of outreach and engagement that was part of this process, it sounds like was, in terms of CCTA coordinating with the city and all the different community groups, advocacy groups, and business groups and others, there was quite a bit of participation from the community, which is in part what we'd like to show that other jurisdictions can really benefit from, because it really is a community-led project. And I'll let John speak to that a bit more.
Well, we were surprised at the turnout and delighted at the turnout. We started at McDonald and 15th, which I showed before on aerial. The mayor joined us there and sort of kicked off the day's activities. The gentleman who is the proprietor of Rich City Bikes, which is the Richmond's bike shop, right there on one of the corners, and Colin, Patrick, and many people from the community in various roles, and to a greater or lesser degree, they all accompanied us on all or part of the field audit, which went all day.
Great. Patrick, did you want to add anything on behalf of the city?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Mitchoff and the commissioners. I just really want to thank all of you and Colin and John and Afsane for this opportunity. Like John said, this was free technical assistance. And, normally cities have to work and apply for this kind of stuff. And Colin just kind of emailed me or called me up one day and said that we had this opportunity. We're short staffed. We don't have a huge engineering department. We don't have a traffic engineer at the moment. And so it was a great opportunity to look really closely at certain locations. We have a variety of plans, bicycle master plan, pedestrian plan, but it's hard to go into that much detail at every location. I've been working for the city for 11 years now and feel like I know Richmond very well, but I had never actually walked through some of these locations before. And it was really interesting to work with John, to work with someone new that we hadn't worked with before. We often work with the same consultants all the time. And like you said, we had a great turnout. I also work with our Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and we had people come from that group. There were also people from the disabled community, and it was very interesting to see what the experience is like for someone that's in a wheelchair or that has mobility issues. So I'm looking forward to sharing this plan with the rest of the city. And we also hope to incorporate some of this into our local road safety plan that we're working on right now. So thanks a lot.
Great, thank you. Thank you both Patrick and John and Colin. Before I ask for a motion, do we have any public comment? I see Dave Campbell is on the line and he may just be monitoring this, but do we have any public comment, Jackie?
I've received no written public comment on this item.
And no hands raised. Okay. Chris, I'm going to assume you would like to make the motion since
It's informational, Karen.
Oh, thank you. You're right. Thank you, John or Dave.
Pete, Sam.
I know, but Chris would have made a motion if we needed a motion. So there we go. All righty.
I'm sorry, it's an informational item, but it is on the regular agenda, so we do still need a motion for it.
All right, then Chris, would you like to make a motion to accept the report?
Yes, I'll make a motion to accept the report here. For the city of Richmond.
And since John or Dave doesn't know what he's doing and I don't know what to call him, I'm going to let Luella make the second.
Let's make the second.
All right, roll call, please.
Okay, Commissioner Hudson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner White? Vice Chair Haskew?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Chair Mitchoff?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, motion passes unanimously with Commissioner White absent.
Moving on to our last agenda item, which is item E, approval of the 2021 County Priority Development Area Investment and Growth Strategy. And John Hong, you are involved and reporting on this.
Good evening again, Chair and board members. John Hong, Director of Planning. I also invited Greg Goodfellow, the consultant that
oh, good. I like to know who everybody is. Hello, Greg. Welcome.
And Greg and I will both be glad to answer questions after my presentation.
All righty.
So for this item, staff is seeking your recommendation for the authority board to approve the 2021 Priority Development Area PDA Investment and Growth Strategy. This update is a requirement by the Metropolitan Transportation Commission and is intended to facilitate coordination between the authority, which acts as the county Transportation Agency and local jurisdictions with PDAs. The strategy is also intended to strengthen the alignment of transportation investments in local planning in Contra Costa related to affordable housing. This document meets the OBAG One Bay Area Grant 2 funding requirements, as well as establishes the framework for the upcoming OBAG 3 cycle, which will cover funding for fiscal year 2022-23 through 2025-26. And that funding will focus on allocating federal funds to local transportation projects located in PDAs. Contra Costa has 41 PDAs altogether, which makes up 20% of the whole Bay Area. And these PDAs are shown in the report, and the county is broken up into 4 subregions, as you can see in the report: West, Central, East, and Southwest County. The information and data obtained for this report were received from jurisdiction staff, transit agency staff, and also information taken from adopted plans from the cities, as well as their capital improvement programs. And also MTC provided this data to contribute to the report. The report lists the transportation projects by subregions and preliminarily ranked from 1 to 3 based on its overall potential contribution to the PBA Plan Bay Area 2050, which is the regional transformation plan, which is recently adopted by MTC, and the OBAG goals. If you look at the report, 3, if the project received a 3, that's the higher ranked project. That concludes my presentation, and then I'll be glad to answer any questions. And then also I have Greg here to answer questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Greg, did you wish to add anything to John's report?
Only what I can clarify for members. I do have a short presentation I could go through, if requested, of course.
And I appreciate that. I know some of us have other issues that we're dealing with tonight. Do I have any colleagues that have any questions of either John or Greg? Thank you, Greg. I'm going to respectfully decline the request.
Sure, I understand.
All righty. Do we have any public comment on this, Jackie?
No written public comment on this item.
All righty. Who would like to make the motion on the, no, I'm the chair. I'm not going to do it, even though we've got a big PDA in my district. But Luella, maybe you would like to, because I'm in Walnut Creek.
I did it just before Dave seconded it.
All right. Moved by Haskew, seconded by Hudson. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hudson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner White? Vice Chair Haskew?
Yes.
Chair Mitchoff?
Yes. Thank
Okay,
you.
motion passes unanimously with Commissioner White absent.
Thank you. And I appreciate all of our guests this evening assisting us with presentations by staff. Very welcome. Know you've done a lot of work and we really appreciate it. Correspondence and communications are in the packet. I do not have any comments or reports. Do we have any commissioner comments or reports? All right.
One quick one.
Oh, go ahead, Dave.
I just received, I know a lot of people may have already made plans, if you're mayors, to go back to Washington, DC. I think the latest email came in that it's still on. We're going to go back there. And I think any chance any of us can get to get into Department of Transportation, which seems to be about impossible right now, but coffee or whatever on the outside, we should make that attempt. So as I've asked before, salaried Tim Hale, we would like to have anything that you can think of that we might be talking to those people about. Please get it to me in the next week, because 2 weeks from now we're going, and Newell will be there, I'll be there, and I don't know who else from the mayors that'll be there.
Tim's going to be there, it looks like. With
Tim, are you going also?
I will not be at the Conference of Mayors legislative trip, but I'll definitely make sure that you have information in your hands while you're there.
Well, and NACO, the National Association of Counties, I found it very interesting. We got an email today that they too are continuing to meet, but anyone who wishes to get a refund for their reservation, they're not charging a fee because DC has a mask mandate. So as a friend of mine said, well, I guess that means the South won't be there. Anyway, moving on. Tim, do you or any other members of your executive team have any comments?
No executive comments. Thank you, Chair.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for a great meeting. And with that, we are adjourned. I guess our next meeting is Wednesday, February 2nd, where we will have an exciting agenda. And part of that includes an election of a new chair. And I know that is like, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? But I want to tell you that in Contra Costa County, we are collegial. I read a comment from Sonoma County, and they're not as collegial up there since redistricting happened. So it's nice to know that we won't be experiencing anything like that. And with that, everyone, have a good evening and a pleasant evening. Good night.